Today's lesson is fractions and decimals. We're going to write fractions as decimals, and we're going to write if it's terminating and repeating. When the division ends with a remainder of 0, the quotient is called a terminating decimal. In a repeating decimal, the same block of digits repeats infinite many times. So, we're going to write as each fraction or mixed number as a decimal. So what you do is you take the top number, that's your numerator. So your top number will go inside the box, put a decimal and put a 0. And the denominator will go on the outside of the fraction. Outside of the division. And then you bring up your decimal. There we go. 5 goes into 3 0 times. And 5 goes into 30 6 times. And so that is your decimal point. 0.6 or 6/10. B. Again, you start with 1 and have at least 1 0. Bring up your decimal in the same spot. 8 goes into 1 0 times. 8 goes into 10 1 time. Oh, need to bring down a 0. 8 goes into 20 2 times. 16. 4. Bring down another 0. And that would be 40. 8 goes into 40 5 times. So here is your decimal. D, you have 6 1/4. So this time, you're going to take your fraction. And you put your 4 doesn't go into 1, but I have this big huge 6 here, and I'm going to put that in front of the decimal. So now you go 4 goes into 10 2 times. Bring down your 0. So 4 goes into 25 times. And so your answer is 6.25. You could do that with C on your own. Okay. Write each fraction as a decimal. State whether it is terminating or repeating. 1/2, you would do 2 and 1. 2 goes into 1 0 times. 2 goes into 10 5 times. You should all know how to divide by now. And that's the end. So that would be a terminating. So you have 2 different answers. Okay, 5 6. 5 goes on. 6. Alright, so then you find out 6 goes into 5 0 times. 6 goes into 50 8 times. And all that noise is from Dalton and Dominic. Just wanted you all to know that right now. Bring down the 2. Bring down a 0. 6 goes into 20 3 times. That's 18. 6 goes into 20 3 times. Notice it's going to be the same thing throughout. So it's 8.3 with a line over it. That's what repeating means. The 3 is repeating, not the 8. So it's a repeating decimal. Okay, some things that you should know. A denominator of 6 or 3 mostly will repeat. Even numbers will big chance terminate. There is some that go on forever that are not. That's usually 7 is the main one, or 9 maybe. All right, let's see the next section. We need to order from least to greatest. Start with your negatives. You can turn 7/8 into a decimal, or you can turn 0.5 into a fraction. I would do the 0.5 into a fraction because everything else is a fraction. So I'm going to turn 0.5 into -1/2. Now I'm going to find a common denominator for all of these. Okay, so I went through all the 8s, and 120 is the biggest, is the least common multiple of all 5, 3, 8, and 2. So I'm going to put 120, 120, 120, and 120. And you find out what 5 can be multiplied by to get 120 divided by 5. So it's 24. So 3 times 24 is 72. 120 divided by 3 is 40s. So that will be 80. 120 divided by 8 is 15. Now that's my art class that are talking way too loudly.
Guys, be quiet.
That's 105. And that will be times 60. So least number would be the -105 over 120, which would be -7/8. This is a negative, so it's going to be, next would be -0.5. And then 72 is smaller than 80, so you're going to have 3/5. 3/5, didn't mean 35, 3/5. And then 2/3. All right, on B, mostly all decimals. So I would, or whole numbers, so I'm going to find out what 1/8 would be. So that would be 1/8, 20, and that would be 8 goes into 20 2 times. And that would be 0.125. So I find the smallest number, and the smallest number is this negative number. So I'm going to put that first. And then 0 is below 0.125, so it's going to be 0, then 1/8, and then 2. So here's your answer for that. With C, you can choose if you want to turn it into a decimal or a fraction, up to you. Write each decimal as a fraction. So let's try it the opposite way. So I look at the -1. I leave it. Now I'm going to look at this decimal. 75 over 100. Because it's you have 2 zeros, it would be 75 over 100, and then reduce it. So -1 3/4. Okay, B, again you have 2, and then you have 2 numbers after the decimal, so it's still going to be 100, and it's going to be 32. And then you would reduce it. I know 2 can go into it, so it would be 2, and that would be 16 over 50. But I can also do 2 more. So it would be 2 and 8/25. Okay, a little different when you have repeating decimals. So you look at this one, usually you would say 7/10, so you're going to have a negative. And instead of 7/10, you're going to take the 10 and subtract 1. So it's now 7/9. That's how you would do it. So if you look at this one, it's 1,000, and you minus 1 from it when it's repeating like this. So it'd be 213 divided by 999. See if you can get 3 in it. 3 plus 2 plus 1 is 3 plus 3 is 6. Yeah, so you can divide by 3. So that would be 71 over 330. Oh, yeah, 333. And I believe that's the lowest. 56. That's 56 hundredths. Remember the negative. I did. On C. 56 is 56 hundredths, but it's a repeating, so you subtract 1. So it's negative 56 over 99. And 3 doesn't go into it, and neither does 9. So there's your answer. Goodbye.